June 8th, 793. A peaceful day on the island of Lindisfarne in northeast England, home to the region's most significant Christian monastery. But that peace will soon be broken by a band of Viking warriors.
The monks of Lindisfarne are going about their daily business. They're farming for their own sustenance, or they're doing their monastic duty. They're a peaceful people. But this peaceful culture of worship is no match for the Vikings. The Vikings are fearsome warriors, and they are armed. The monks are not. They sweep in unopposed, and it's a literal slaughter.
The Vikings kill the monks, plunder the church's holy relics, and take everything of value away in their longboats.
You might think that a monastery full of monks wouldn't be the best place to plunder. But monasteries back in the Middle Ages were full of precious objects made of gold and silver.
The Vikings discover unimaginable wealth in this monastery. Gold-encrusted crosses or jewels or manuscripts that have gold covers on them. For them, nothing is sacred here.
The Vikings take all the treasure that they can see, and then they disappear across the sea. Terrifying. In 793, with the attack on the monastery at Lindisfarne, the Viking Age had begun.
Once they have a taste of attacking a monastery and seeing the incredible wealth inside, they begin systematically attacking monasteries, churches, and fortresses across the British Isles.
So if you wanted to maintain your power as a Viking chieftain, you had to have wealth in order to buy the loyalty of other strong and impressive warriors.
If they could do it through raiding, that was even better, because now you get some free stuff in order to gain more power.
This plundered Christian wealth is worth the equivalent of billions of dollars today, and it's for free, just taken with might. They're just looking for any way to enrich themselves.
They are terrorizing Europe all over the Russian river system, through the Baltic coast, the North Atlantic, and across the North Sea. And the Vikings didn't fear death in battle. They sort of anticipated it and looked forward to it.
They believed that if you die this glorious death in battle, virgin warriors called Valkyries will take you and lead you by the hand to Valhalla.
In essence, a warrior paradise, a warrior holy land. There, they get to feast and drink and celebrate their battlefield exploits with their god, Odin.
The Vikings who died on the battlefield were either cremated on funerary pyres or they're buried, often with their possessions. These are called grave goods. The Vikings thought that these treasures would follow them into Valhalla.
They are usually their most prized possessions. So beautiful jewelry, ornate swords, gold coins, silver coins. Your grave goods are part of your identity and your personal belongings that you have the right to take with you to the afterlife.
They would bury this wealth all across the world, but many times these hoards of treasure were forgotten and never discovered again.
Some say the kind of treasure that could have been amassed by the Vikings over several centuries could number in the billions of dollars. But there is no surviving knowledge. There are no treasure maps to tell you where to find it.
In 1840, workers repairing a riverbank in northwest England come upon something unusual. A rotting chest lined with lead.
What they find within will reignite interest in Viking culture almost immediately. It is a treasure trove, the likes of which had never been seen.
It is an amazing find. It's full of silver coins and ingots and jewelry. Altogether, it's 8,500 pieces. And it all dates back to somewhere between 903 and 910 CE.
This discovery fuels a craze for Viking treasure. Archaeologists and amateur treasure hunters begin digging holes all over England, literally anywhere that Vikings are believed to have once been.
Everybody is looking for Viking coins. Everybody is looking for Viking burial sites. People start thinking, do I have a Viking site in my backyard? So it leads to a lot more discoveries.
In the 1880s, as much as $200,000 worth of coins is found in northeast England. In 1912, a catch is found in Scotland, valuing as much as $800,000. And a silver hoard was found in Herefordshire, valued at $4 million. It's an astounding amount of Viking treasure.
By the 2010s, every known Viking settlement has been poured over by countless individuals with everything from shovels to modern metal detectors. Many scholars are confident that the English countryside has been picked clean of all the Viking hoards. They've all been found.
If you want to find Viking treasure, for a lot of treasure hunters, the best place to look is the place that brings them closest to Valhalla.
Valhalla is deeply connected to Scandinavia. So the closer you are to Scandinavia, the closer you are to their heaven.
The Vikings want to be buried there to shorten the length of that journey to the afterlife. If you could find one of these elaborate burial sites, you could probably also find treasure.
There are burial mounds all along the coast of Norway and the rest of Scandinavia, full of, we presume, grave goods deposited with the person at the time of death.
In 1879, in a little town called Gokstad in Norway, 2 teenage boys are asking their father repeatedly if they could maybe dig on a large mound that existed on their property. And the father says, sure, go ahead, dig.
So they begin to dig, and they strike wood. They break through, and what they find is a burial chamber. Inside appear to be human remains.
So the boys go running back to their father, and he immediately contacts Oslo University and lets them know that perhaps they might want to send an expert out there.
In 1880, archaeologist Nikolai Nikolaisen is dispatched to the site, and what he discovers is absolutely staggering. A 78-foot-long Viking ship.
This is one of the best preserved Viking ships ever found. It is dated to around 900 CE, so it's close to 1,000 years old. But the ship itself is just the tip of the iceberg, because what it contained is even more exciting. It was the tomb of an important man.
The ship turns out to be part of an incredibly elaborate grave. That's why this ship is discovered so far from water. Nikolaisen believes that whoever was buried here must have been an incredibly powerful and important person to have received a burial this grand.
It appears, however, that the boys were not the first to find this tomb. There are very few artifacts within, so it had probably been discovered by grave robbers once or multiple times before, perhaps as early as the Viking Age itself.
The tomb raiders did miss a few things, though. They find golden fish hooks, ivory amulets. There are even some bronze bracelets tucked away in the corner of the boat.
Furthermore, the archaeologists find the bones of 12 horses, 8 dogs, and 2 peacocks, most likely sacrificed to accompany the great man into the afterlife.
As reports of the find circulate worldwide, a new generation of treasure hunters descends on the Norse homelands in search of other burial mounds.
Countless Norwegians and Swedes and Danes take to their coastlines, just like the English did. Unfortunately, all they find usually is just small, unmarked graves, nothing of true scale like the Gokland ship is ever found again.
By the time we get to the last couple of decades, technology has really changed for these treasure hunters. So you now have ground-penetrating radar, you have LiDAR, you have drones and satellite imaging.
With the rise of new technologies comes the rise of illegal digging. Authorities speculate that Viking graves may have been found only for the treasure to be sold on the black market, so we may never know the scale of what's been discovered in recent decades.